Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Story. I am the Tournament Director for the BJJ Classic. I'm coming to you guys today to kind of talk about the Classic a little bit, what's going on, what's coming up, and also we've got the drawing for 4 free entries to the BJJ Classic Pan Am Championships 2015. So before we get to that, I want to go ahead and discuss a few upcoming things that we're doing here at the Classic. One of the things is that with the BJJ Classic, we've kind of taken a different spin. Instead of doing numerous of tournaments over and over and over, we're actually going to only do 2 tournaments a year. We're going to do the BJJ Classic Pan Am Championships and also the BJJ Classic World Championships. And those are the only 2 that we're going to do. So we have a different take on it, and let me explain what we're doing and why we're doing it. So instead of doing a bunch of tournaments so that you could do, a submission-only tournament here, and then the next month another one, and the next month another one, we're going to be very sparing about it. And the reason why is that, kind of go back in time a little bit from when the jiu-jitsu tournaments have really started, about 1996. In '96, there were only 2 jiu-jitsu tournaments, and it was the IBJJF Pan Ams and the IBJJF Worlds, or Mundials. And at that time, the Worlds were in Brazil. They weren't in the States. So that was for many, many years. Those are the only 2 tournaments that were around. And of course, there was small tournaments that were local. There wasn't a lot of other tournaments around. But at least within Texas, the only tournament the tournaments that were around was the tournaments that Carlos Machado would put on. They were always small, local tournaments. That was back in about 1999 that he was putting those tournaments on. But what we're doing is we're paying homage to the tradition, the way that it all started. What everyone sees now as the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, they see that the IBJJF is the big governing body, which they are primarily the governing body for Jiu-Jitsu when it comes to competitions and everything. But they weren't always as large as they are. They actually didn't start doing the opens until I believe it was 2010, 2011. They didn't start traveling a lot more. They kept it pretty small for quite some time. We're going to do a very similar thing. And the reason why we're doing that is because if you can go to a tournament and do, the tournament this weekend, the tournament next weekend, for example, such as Naga, if you can do a Naga every other weekend, it kind of devalues the title of what it is, because you can do it every other weekend. But if it only comes around once a year, it makes it to where that's the tournament to train for, and that's what we're going for. We're not in competition with any other tournaments. We're not looking to beat out this tournament or that tournament, or we're in a different space. We're in the no points, no time limit, submission only. It's a different realm. It's a different niche. We are not trying to become the largest points or tournament, or it's totally different for us. We are looking. Our goal is to create this standard of submission only within the community. So, with that said, anyone who wins the BJJ Classic Pan Am Championships and the BJJ Classic World Championships, those are titles that they are earning, and that's really the most important part. Instead of it just being a medal and that's it, we want to make it to where you're earning a title. You are, and that title is that you tapped out everybody that you wrestled with. There's no question at all. Anyone, if you guys haven't experienced the BJJ Classic, I think one of my favorite parts about it as a director and doing this is that there's no arguments if for coaches, and the refs. You can never get onto the ref and say, oh, that ref was a bad ref and he made a bad call. Because in the BJJ Classic, really, you either tap out, and that's when you tap out, that's your responsibility. It's not the referee's. The referee's job in the BJJ Classic is a lot different. The job is more so to ensure the safety of the competitor, make sure that nothing illegal is going on, eye poking or anything crazy. It's just really to enforce those the safety and the basic rules of illegal techniques, and that's really it. it's the competitor's responsibility, at least within the adult divisions. It's the competitor's responsibility to tap out. And when they tap out, it's one of those things that they can't argue and say, oh, the ref made a bad call or the ref did this or that, because quite frankly they tapped out. So that's one of the great things about the Classic, is it's undisputed. That's what it is. Now, obviously with the kids, for those of you out there that have kids and you're wanting them to compete in the Classic, I can tell you that with the refs, they're there for their safety too. And sometimes they'll even tap for the kids. If the kid's not wanting to tap, and they should, and the ref will tap for them. The adults, a different story. Adults, we're all responsible. We're responsible for ourselves. The kids, we want to make sure the kids are just as safe too. And even the teens too, we still try to do some of the same stuff and make sure that they're safe. But what it comes down to is responsibility. What's great about the Classic that I love is that, to kind of give you a little background with the Classic, when I started Jiu-Jitsu, it was 1999. I'm a second-degree black belt under Bruno Bastos. So when I started Jiu-Jitsu, we didn't use a timer to wrestle, to roll. We didn't use a timer at all. You rolled until you tapped your partner out. And if your partner tapped out, then you restart and let them get their dime back. Or if you tapped them out a bunch of times, you kind of wait till they say, okay, I'm done, I've had enough, I'm going to roll with the next person. Or if you got tapped out a bunch of times, you kind of go, okay, hey, you know what, I'm going to wrestle with the next person. And within that, there was no clock to save us. We couldn't stop and you go, oh, whew, man, 5 minutes passed. You didn't tap me out. It wasn't like that. No, if you win for 30 minutes, you win for 30 minutes. And there's finality to the BJJ Classic. There is a undisputed finality. And what it does is it really shows the essence of what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is. It's the internal struggle that you have. Whenever you take away that, when you strip the points and you strip the time limit, there is that internal battle. And there's internal battle with points and time limit too. But it's a different internal battle. The internal battle that says, okay, do I have what it takes to last this long? Am I, knowing that when you walk into the match, knowing that you are going to, that either you or your opponent is going to submit. And for some people, that's very difficult. I think for everybody who's done Jiu-Jitsu for a long time, you learn to handle that. But for those that are just starting out, or they're moving along through their journey, in the earlier phases, it can sometimes be a little more difficult, and it really puts a different test to it. It does not take away the points, or doesn't take away, I'm not taking anything away from points or time limit or anything like that. It's just the niche and the type of tournament that we're doing is much different, and it strips everything away and brings it back to its rawest form, which is why we call it the Classic, because it's classic. It doesn't matter how long the match goes. If the match goes an hour and a half, it's going to go an hour and a half until someone taps. So that's what I really love about the Classic, is that there's no arguments from the referees to parents or the coaches. You can't argue about someone tapping out and giving and saying, okay, you win. And then two, what it really means in regards to that inner struggle and dealing with that. And it's great to see two people who maybe they're very, very good at points and very, very good at the points game, and to strip that away and watch them really let loose and unleash. Because sometimes in points, if you watch some of the competitors, or if you've competed yourself, you kind of have to stay really enclosed and you play only a certain game. But with the Classic, you can open up, because if you do get reversed, it's not the end of the match. If you do get taken down, it doesn't dictate everything. If you do get your back taken, it doesn't mean that it's the end of the match. You could always get out and come back and win the match. You could be in the bad position the entire time, and your partner makes a mistake, leaves their arm out, has to tap out because you got him in an arm lock. So it really rearranges everything about the traditional points of Jiu-Jitsu tournaments. So our take on it is just stripping that all away. There's a lot of standards that we have here at the Classic. You are going to see a lot of the stuff is in weigh-ins, that we're going to have the weigh-ins on the mat side, or same day of. E-check, that kind of stuff. So we're keeping a lot of the standards that you see within your large jiu-jitsu tournaments nowadays, but we've just stripped everything else away. So before we get to this, just want to kind of reiterate what we're doing, and that's just going to be 2 tournaments a year. And with those 2 tournaments, again, it's about not just winning a medal, it's really about winning the title. So when you do walk away, you can walk away and say, I was the 2015 BJJ Classic Pan Am Championship champion, or I was the 2015 BJJ Classic World Champion. And you can actually walk away with that as a title. And so we're wanting to make sure that we bring a very good value to the tournament by not overdoing it and doing too many and only doing just those 2 a year. But with that said, we're coming up here close. It's getting a little closer to the BJJ Classic Pan Am's 2015. And today, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do our drawing for the men's division, who's going to get the free entry, women's division, youth division, and the teens. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's start with the men's. So who the person getting the free entry, the men's division, is going to be, looks like Jace Daughtry of Team Lovato. So you are getting the free entry. So, and we'll email you all the information too. We've got your contact information if you guys end up winning. So we've got Jace Daughtry, men's. The women's, Emma Rhodes. Emma's actually competed in the BJJ Classic before. You guys have probably seen her picture. She's on the picture for the women's poster. So Emma, you have free entry to the BJJ Classic Pan Am Championships 2015. And let's go ahead and check out the youth. Let's see what we've got here. For the youth, Zayden, excuse me if I pronounced your last name wrong, looks like Fari. Zayden Fari from Brazilian Top Team Austin. You are the youth competitor that is going to be getting a free entry. So, and our teams, let's see. Robbie Kaler from Flux MMA. You are going to be our teens competitor that gets a free entry to the BJJ Classic. So we've got Robbie Kaler, Zayden Fari, Jace Daughtry, Team Lovato, and Emma Rhodes. You 4, congratulations guys and gal for getting a free entry. Hey, thank you very much for your support for the BJJ Classic. We look forward to this upcoming tournament. It's going to be great. Again, if you haven't done the BJJ Classic before, I encourage you. Or even if you do points tournaments a lot and you compete a lot and you're a little nervous, it's tons of fun. You really get a chance to let loose of your jiu-jitsu and not worry about the points and the time and things like that. Anyhow, thank you everybody. I'd like to also say thank you to Mike Columbus over at Texas MMA. And Texas MMA, thank you for all the help. You guys have been great. Guys, this week is the last week. Today is February 1st, and this week is the last week for the early registration for the discount registration. So, hey guys, thank you very much for your support, and we look forward to seeing you at the BJJ Classic Pan Am Championships on March 28th and 29th. Thank you guys.